everyone! Welcome to Rain Francis Art for Kids. My name is Rain. In this series, Halloween Party, we draw and paint and create everything that has to do with this spooky season of Halloween. So let's begin. Well, it's spooky season, so today I'm going to show you how to draw Frankenstein's monster. So let's begin. This is what you'll need for today's drawing lesson. You're going to need a piece of paper. I have a drawing pad here that I got at the dollar store. It's 8.5 inches by 11 inches wide. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and if you have an old paintbrush lying around that you haven't used to paint with, it works really well to wipe off the eraser bits and the dust from your page. And we're going to need some color. Frankenstein's monster is green, and we're going to use some yellow, some red, and some black. I also have a fine liner black marker. That might come in handy, but you can always use the black coloring pencil. So let's begin. Let's draw our monster. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a large rectangle. Okay? And then we're going to draw under the rectangle, watch. This is the bottom of his face, and it's not any particular shape, but basically what I'm doing is a straight line and then a curvy line and another curvy line in and then down like that. Okay? Now what we're going to do, I have a little piece that I'm going to erase there, but we're going to erase, but I want to just show you something first. Now I want you to take your pencil and draw a little curve on the top of that rectangle. Just a little curve. And then we're going to draw a curvy line like this. We're rounding basically the rectangle, and we're going to erase those lines. But I want round shapes. Okay? And for here, this is the top of his head. It's his forehead. It kind of goes up a little and then down. So what I want you to do is erase this long, all the rectangle lines I want you to erase. We just drew that as a reference, because sometimes it's hard to draw curvy lines up and down like that, so we wanted to make sure that we've got a reference. So go ahead and erase that rectangle, and if you erase some of the round lines that we did, you can just go right back in and draw them in again. Okay, so just erase that rectangle. And I've erased some of those curvy lines, but that's okay. I'm just going to draw them right back in again. I erased most of it actually. There we go. Now we have to add ears. So just, you see that little curve we did there? Just add some kind of semicircle ears. And inside the ears we'll draw a little C and a backward C on this one. That just shows the inside of his ear. Now for his hair, he's got funny looking hair, so watch what I'm doing. I'm going up, and I'm going to zigzag across the top of his head and then down like that. All right, now let's draw his eyes. His eyes are going to come under the forehead area, so we've got two oval shapes here, and we're going to draw ovals in the middle like this. Okay. Now let's draw his nose. He's got just a triangle for a nose, a half triangle. And Frankenstein's monster doesn't really smile much, does he? So we're going to give him kind of a squiggly, kind of weird looking mouth. Like there's no smile there. And we're going to put 2 lines like this. Okay? And just below his eyes, on the side of each eye, underneath, a little line, little curvy line like that. And right here on either side of his nose, but just between the mouth and the nose, we're going to put lines like this. Okay? And now he's got these, I don't know what these are, spark plugs that come out of his head here. We're going to put one on each side. Oh, before, I wanted just to erase that line that I drew there. That was just a mistake I did. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Little spark plugs, I think they are. Okay. So we have him all drawn out. Why don't we start coloring him in? And the first color we're going to use is the green. We're going to color in green, all on his face here, and his whole face and his ears. But let's try not to get any green into the eyes at all. And his hair is going to be black. So if you go over and get a little green into the hair, that's no big deal because it's going to be black, and black will cover the green. Okay, so do you know what you're doing? The ears, the face, and the forehead, try not to get any into the hair, and don't get any into the eyes. So let's start. Now, if you're using coloring pencils, don't press down too hard. You don't have to. And I want you to turn your pencil as you're going. Turn it. You want to turn your pencil so you don't wear it down all on one side. Now we've got a lot of green that we're applying today. So at any time during this lesson, if you need to stop and go and sharpen your pencil, please do that. But if you don't press too hard, you shouldn't wear your pencil down too quickly. Don't forget to turn your pencil. And if you're using a crayon, the same thing applies. Turn your crayon once in a while so you don't wear it all down on one side. If you're using markers, you don't have to turn them because markers have very vibrant color and they don't really wear down. Well, they do if you press too hard for too long. They'll flatten the tip, but you don't have to turn them like we do with the coloring pencils and the crayons. All right. I'm going to continue doing the ears and the face, being careful not to get any green into the eyes. Don't forget to turn your pencil once in a while. Are you getting excited for Halloween? I am. I love Halloween. I love the season, the spooky season. It's a perfect time of year, at least where I live here in the northern hemisphere. We have fall going on right now, and it's great Halloween weather. Now I'm just being very careful not to get any green into the eyes. And I'm turning my pencil. Do you like Frankenstein movies? A lot of the time we always say, oh, it's Frankenstein, and we refer to the monster as Frankenstein, but he's not his name isn't Frankenstein, really. His name is Frankenstein's monster, because Frankenstein is the doctor who invented him or who brought him back to life. Do you like to watch Frankenstein movies around Halloween? There was one that was made, I think it was in the 1930s. It was a long time ago. It's in black and white. And the actor who plays Frankenstein's monster, his name is Boris Karloff. He also is the voice of the Grinch. If you watch, you know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the old cartoon, if you watch that around Christmas time, he did the voice of the Grinch. And he played Frankenstein's monster in that movie, the black and white movie from the 1930s. I think it was the 30s. He was scary in that movie. He's a big guy. Okay, well, I've colored in the face and the ears. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a second layer. Now, all that means is that you're coloring it in a second time, okay? That's why I tell you at the very beginning all the time, don't press down too hard. Don't have to. Once we start applying a second layer or coloring it in a second time, you're going to see why we didn't have to press down too hard, because the second layer makes it more vibrant. You can see the difference right away. One layer, two layers. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and put in a third layer or a fourth layer. You just color it in until you're happy with the color that you have. Usually for me, 2 layers are good. Sometimes I go in for a third layer if I can still see some of the paper underneath, the color of the paper, you know. If there's too much white and I want it to be a deeper color, I'll go ahead and do a third layer. Don't forget to turn your pencil. I'm just being really careful not to get any green into the eyes. I'm applying a second layer everywhere that I put a first layer of green. Okay, turn your pencil, don't forget, or your crayon. My stomach is growling. I guess I'm hungry. I don't know if my microphone picked up on that. I was mentioning just before the man who played Frankenstein in the 1930s film, the black and white film. His name is Boris Karloff. I actually did a watercolor of him as Frankenstein's monster. I'll show it to you here. This is what you can do with watercolor paints. If you want to become an artist... You okay, Raven? My dog is shaking. Shaking up. If you want to become an artist, become more creative, all you have to do is practice. You can watch videos on YouTube on technique, on what you need to do to achieve what kind of effect. And if you keep practicing, you become better and better and better. And that's with everything in life. If you want to achieve something, you have to apply yourself and you have to take action and you have to practice. Like if you want to learn a certain subject. I'm studying psychology right now. And I really, really want to learn about psychology. So I keep reading books and practicing and taking tests And I'm learning a lot about psychology. You just have to keep going and don't give up. If you want to do something, don't let anyone get in your way. If you want to be an artist, you just keep practicing. If you want to be a doctor, you go to school and you study and study and study. If you want to be a dancer, keep dancing. You can do anything you want. Now I'm applying a third layer, just a little bit here and there, where I think there might be a little bit of white showing, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with this. How are you guys doing? Did you apply a second layer? Are you doing a third? Well, he looks pretty green right now. I'm going to use my yellow color, and you know those little spark plugs? I'm just going to color those in yellow. Turning my pencil. I'm going to go in and put a second layer of yellow because I want those to be really bright. Okay. There we go. That's nice and bright. Now we have to color in his hair. His hair is going to be black. So let's take our black coloring pencil and color in all of his hair. And with his hair too, we're definitely going to be applying a second layer, at least a second layer. Because for me, I want his hair to be really, really dark black. We could have used a marker for this too. That would have made it really nice and dark black. But I'm using my coloring pencil and I'm going to use layers to get the same effect. When I use coloring pencils, I color in little circles. I don't do straight lines because I don't like the way straight lines look. If I want a line to look straight, then yes, I'll definitely draw and color in a straight line, but most of the time I would prefer to just draw in circles. Now don't forget to turn your pencil and don't press down too hard. I'm being careful not to get any black onto the green, onto his forehead. Just take your time and enjoy what you're doing. Starting to look like a monster, isn't he? Turn your pencil, don't forget. All right. I'm going to go in and put a second layer. And I'm going to see if 2 layers will be dark enough. Otherwise, I might put in a third. I think 2 might be okay. We'll see at the end if 2 will be okay. But you can definitely see the difference between 1 layer and 2 here, right? No need to press hard at all when you're going to be applying layers. Because you know, when you press hard on your coloring pencil or on your crayon, you might break the tip. And then you have to go and sharpen, and the pencil doesn't last as long if you have to keep sharpening it. Or you can make your hand tired, and we don't want tired hands when we're drawing. We want to really have a great time and enjoy every moment. Oops, I got a little bit on the green, so I'm going to just make that triangle a little larger. There we go. I covered my mistake. You can do that too, you know, you can cover your little mistakes. I remember the first time I watched a Frankenstein movie, it really scared me. That monster. And if any adults out there are watching, I think my favorite Frankenstein movie is Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein. That's great. All right. I don't know if you kids out there would know that, but I think some of the adults might. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, and just where I think there's a little too much white showing, too much of the paper showing, just going in for a quick third layer. Just to darken some areas. But I'm not going over the whole thing, you know, with detail right now. There, that's all I'm doing. He's looking pretty good. So now you can keep using your black coloring pencil, but I'm going to switch to my fine liner black marker. And when I say fine liner, that just means it has a small tip, okay? Like if you look at a Sharpie, see, that's got a thick tip compared to this one. This is a fine liner. It's a smaller tip, that's all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some outlining, okay? I'm going to outline the entire head and the ears with my black marker. Because I really want these little detailed parts to stand out. I'm not going to bother outlining the hair because it's black already. Now this is where you take your time. Like I made a little mistake there. I went a little low, so I'm just going to go in and add green there. There, you fix another mistake as you go. Outlining makes things look really nice if you ask me. But also it's a great exercise in patience and paying attention to detail. So that's why I want you to just take your time doing this. Don't rush it. And I'm going to do all the details of the face as well. Everything on the face that I drew with pencil, I am going to outline with marker. I can't talk too much during this because I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. All right. Now, since I have my marker here, I'm going to color in the pupils black with the marker. Okay. Like I said, if you don't have a marker, you can use your black coloring pencil. Just color in those pupils black. There we go. He's looking really good. We're not finished with him yet though, because we have to put a scar on his forehead. So I want you to take your red coloring pencil, and this should work okay. Take it and draw a line just across his head, anywhere you want. And then draw over it again. Apply a second and maybe a third and maybe a fourth layer. Just want to make sure it really shows. Ah, the tip of my pencil just broke. That means I was pressing down too hard. Okay, we just want to make sure it shows. And because, see what happens? I don't know if you can see it, but the tip of my pencil broke, and when it broke, it bounced off the green, and there's a little bit of red there on the green, so I don't know if I can cover that up. It may just have to stay there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black marker. You can take your black coloring pencil, and we're going to put in stitches. And that's just lines across. There. Just to make it look like he has a scar on his forehead. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with Frankenstein's monster here. I hope you guys are happy with what you did. Now don't forget, I want you to sign your work. Always sign your work and always take ownership of your beautiful creation. You just did a lovely drawing here, and I want you to be proud of yourself. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, my friends. And remember to Mom and Dad, if you post your kids' art on Instagram, don't forget to tag me. The link is in the description below and in the About section of my channel. So we'll see you next time on Halloween Party, my friends. Thanks again for watching. Bye.